All right, let's get into it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Lead From Here podcast. Today, we're talking about perception. And let me tell you, the old adage of perception is 9/10 reality is very much accurate. And it's something that the more you are in your career, the longer you're in a career, the more you'll realize that doesn't really matter what the data shows, doesn't really matter what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, how effective you are or not effective you are. Perception is what matters. I've been around plenty of people that have been rock stars, but they're constantly late to meetings. So their perception of them is they're not an employee. I've been around people that are terrible, but they have a great executive presence and they show up to meetings on time and they are not afraid to share ideas and not afraid to challenge ideas. And their perception is like, oh man, this person's a rock star. But in the team, they're terrible. Whether that's culture or technical, I've seen both. And that's why it's really important to understand a bunch of things. But perception is the key in today's conversation. But from a perception standpoint, if you understand that perception is 9/10 reality, if you have that person that is a rock star in the team, you have a bunch of data that's like, hey, this person's awesome. But your boss is like, this person's always late. They're not a good culture fit. They're rough around the edges. You know, when you go to try and get that person promoted, you're going to have a hard time. Like, you may be able to use the data to get it pushed through one time, but the next time it comes around, if nothing's changed from a perception perspective, it may not happen. And worse, it could move to like, hey, we're looking at some layoffs. This guy should probably be in this, or this girl should probably be in this because they're just not great. And it's like, they're the top performer on the team. They're like, yeah, but you just don't, like, it's all of it, right? And so people can create this vision in their mind of a person based on their actions. So it's important for you to help your people understand visuals. Like, everything you do has a visual, right? Whether that's showing up to a meeting, how you act on a meeting, do you have a camera on? Are you dressed appropriately? Is your room clean? You know, now that we're on cameras and everybody's in their rooms or offices or home offices or kitchens or whatever, is like, is your background clean? Are you presentable? When you show up to meetings in person, are you dressed nicely? Are your clothes clean? Is your hair done? It's all things that seem very judgmental, but it's all things that subconsciously people recognize, especially people at the C-suite level. They notice when somebody doesn't speak well in front of a large group. So when somebody is nervous, or they're rude, or they don't show up on time, or they don't pay attention, or all these little like things that seem very small. And it's like, hey, they're actually doing a great job in the team, but it's like, cool. They have this perception of not being that great. That's not what you want for your team. So when you're seeing those things, that's when you lean into the radical candor, which you can see linked in the description here. It's another podcast we talked about radical candor. That's where you use the like, hey, I want what's best for you. I want you to get the promotions. I want you to grow your career. And hey, when you show up to a meeting that includes our CEO or our VP or my boss, hey, just dress it up a little bit. You don't have to wear a tie, you don't have to wear a suit, but like, don't wear a holy t-shirt. Wear a nicer t-shirt and pants, or, you know, whatever's going wrong, whatever's creating that perception, give them insight as to like what the perception is creating, how to turn that perception, and how the perception impacts their career. Because the visuals of being rude or being short with somebody, or, you know, all the different things that you could do to get a negative response from somebody, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, all those things are on the table when it comes to perception. So it's important for you to, one, be aware of it, pay attention, listen to what you're hearing, listen to feedback. Two, going at it, coaching them through it, helping them understand what it means, how it impacts, and all those things. And it will significantly help yourself and your people in getting what they want, which also equals what you want because you're now their leader. So what they want is what you want, ultimately, to an extent. Obviously, we'll dive into that in another conversation, but ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about taking it to the next level. And I hope that I cannot hear the dogs, because our 4 dogs are barking their heads off right now. So if you can hear that, I apologize. But I appreciate everybody's time. Pay attention to perception. Pay attention to people. Pay attention with yourself. Pay attention to make sure that you're not doing things that could create a perception about you. I hope this is helpful. Take care. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Jason at leadfromhere.co and all the social media channels. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next episode.